Hello everyone and welcome to the second installment of our Cyber Resiliency vlog series. Today I'm joined by Philippe van den Neuker from IBM and we're going to talk about the DORA, regulatory compliance and everything you can do to augment and improve your cyber resiliency. So Philippe, to kick things off, what is DORA and why is it so relevant right now?
Okay, so DORA is a EU legislation. It's called the Digital Operational Resiliency Act. And basically it's a strict set of rules that basically defines for what you need to do for ICT risk management, incident reporting, operational resilience testing, and ICT third-party risk monitoring. While it's targeted for financial institutions, it's also important that they do risk assessment for their ICT third-party suppliers. So therefore, it's not only important for them, but also for all of the suppliers and most of the companies that we have. If you then look a bit further, what it needs to do, the key point, if you look at it from an infrastructure point of view, is that you need to do operational resiliency testing in order to comply with these ICT incidents, and they outlined these incidents in multiple categories. So you need to have rules and schemes in place to do protection, detection, containment, recovery and repair. Now most of our customers already do protection and they can also do recovery. But in these spaces of the detection and the repair, there you need to basically make adjustments and you need to evolve to what we are calling a data resiliency approach. And how can I start with a data resiliency approach is basically to implement what we call a cyber vault scheme. A cyber vault scheme is a methodology where you're going to leverage not only your production storage, but also your backup storage into one scheme, and you're going to integrate that with your security tools. And the cyber vault principle applies that you are going to look at your company and saying, okay, what's the most critical ICT asset that I need to have? We call that the minimum viable company, and you're going to protect that one so that you're able, in case of an incident, that you detect it very early, best in a couple of hours, and that you can do a fully automated recovery by using snapshots on your primary storage. And then you will also tie that in for the non-business critical parts, the tier 2 applications, to your normal recovery schemes that you're doing with your backup software, for example. A key aspect, of course, is also that your primary storage needs to be integrated and with the security tools. The sooner you can see that an incident is happening, the better that you can then revert. So therefore, you need to look at this cyber data resiliency scheme, that you also implement what's called the security incident and event monitoring system, a security orchestration and automated response system, and the IBM storage systems integrate flawlessly with these seamless source solutions for the last couple of years. And we also augmented the capabilities of the storage systems so that they can do anomaly detection. That the moment that something is happening which might have been missed by your security measures, that your storage is also going to help you in detecting this, and then it will trigger an alert. The important part of that alert is that you also then are able to handle that over to a tool, an automation tool, that the security operator, who's most of the time not the storage operator, can make an assessment and then trigger the workflow that basically reverts to your whole company, that minimum viable company, to that specific point of time. And by having that framework, you're also complying to the rules, because you then also prove that you have put these measures in place, that you can do the operational resiliency testing, and that you're auditable. And regardless of the DORA legislation, this kind of scheme, basically data resilience and a cyber storage approach, is important for all of our customers. We have backups in place, we have regular resiliency in place, but we should indeed take one step further and then go into a full cyber resiliency approach to protect your company and your customers.
Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about the DORA regulations, it was put in place for financial companies in the first instance, but why is it so important for the other companies and the third parties that are working together with the financial institutions?
Well, because the financial institutions also need to make sure that their ICT suppliers are also adhering to these regulations. And the easiest way to do for them to do, they have to do actually the risk assessment of these suppliers. And the quickest way to do that risk assessment is basically demanding for their suppliers that they also follow the same regulations and implement the same scheme, so that you don't have like a weak spot, that it's not of no use that you apply all these regulations in your own financial institution, and that you then have an additional risk that you might have missed because of one of your suppliers.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand correctly, it is good that everything is in order from top to bottom, that every link in the chain is compliant with the DORA regulations.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, very interesting. And if we are talking about steps that companies can take to augment and to improve their cyber resiliency, what can they do?
Well, basically it's a multi-phased approach. First phase would be indeed that you integrate your environments, both the primary storage, your production storage, and your secondary storage, the backup storage, that you integrate them with your security tools, and that they can send out proactive notifications based on I/O patterns and so on. So that's an integration that we have for our storage portfolio for the last couple of years. So that's the first phase. The second phase is that you need to put an additional protection layer into your storage environments, both primary and secondary, that you need to work with an immutability layer, so that you are sure that the copies that you're having of your data, that they can no longer be tampered with by an intruder, that they are logically or physically immutable. And then the third layer, of course, is that you identify your critical applications, as we already discussed, so that you can then, in case of an alert being sent to that security layer, to the SIEM tool, that SIEM tool can then automatically go to the orchestrator, and that orchestrator can trigger a workflow, so that you can define at which point in time the attack happened, and that you can do the revert. Now, you need to be sure that when you do the revert, that the copy you're reverting from, either from a snapshot or a backup, is also clean. So that phase you would also do after you take these snapshots or these backups, that you are going to pass them to a clean room in which you are going to do some testing, additional testing, that you're quite sure that you can use them immediately, and they'll then be used by the security operator, because most of the time that's not one of your storage operators who's then going to make the decision and launch the workflow. And by doing this approach, you also then, of course, have all the auditing layer in place, because you show that you can make these backups, that they are okay, that they are clean, and that you actually tested the restore. So it's a multi-phased approach. Don't be hesitant to start with it, or don't be overwhelmed with it, because it's very easy to implement if you start one layer by another.
So a healthy combination of proactive and reactive measures is key to a good cyber resiliency, if that is the main takeaway.
Yes, indeed, and it's time to start now.
And I think on that note, the people at home know what to do and what measures to take in place. And if you need some help with that, our Westpol experts are ready to help. And thank you very much, Philippe, for joining us in this installment of the Cyber Resiliency vlog series. And we will see you all next time.